Rain poured over the city like the sky itself was grieving the night Alexander Grant's life changed forever. The billionaire tech mogul was not a man easily shaken. He had built empires from nothing, turned failures into fortunes, and carried himself with the calm authority of someone who believed he had already seen the worst the world could offer. But that evening, as his car slowed at a red light beneath a flickering street lamp, his eyes locked onto a sight that shattered his certainty. A frail young girl, no more than 8 years old, stood barefoot on the sidewalk, her oversized yellow raincoat drenched and clinging to her tiny frame. In her trembling arms, she held a baby wrapped in a thin blanket, while another infant was strapped to her back in a worn carrier. Cars sped past, splashing cold water at her feet, yet she didn't move. Her eyes weren't begging, they were protecting. Protecting the twins she carried like fragile treasures in a world that had given her nothing. Alexander stepped out into the rain without thinking. "Why are you out here?" he asked softly. The girl hesitated, her lips quivering. "I'm not begging, sir. I just need a place where they won't get wet." That sentence pierced him deeper than any boardroom betrayal ever had. Within an hour, the 3 children were wrapped in warm blankets inside his mansion, sipping hot cocoa under crystal chandeliers that had never witnessed such quiet gratitude. The girl's name was Lily, and the twins were Noah and Nora. Their parents had died months earlier, leaving Lily to survive alone in abandoned buildings and shelters that never lasted long. Alexander made a decision that shocked the tabloids within days: he would adopt them. His wife, Victoria, stood beside him during the press conference, her smile flawless, her words rehearsed. "We are opening our hearts and our home," she declared. The world applauded their compassion, praising the billionaire couple for their generosity. But behind the closed doors of their marble estate, something colder lingered in Victoria's eyes. Weeks passed, and the mansion changed. Laughter echoed down hallways that had once felt like museums. Lily's cautious steps slowly turned into playful runs across the garden. The twins grew healthier, their giggles filling Alexander with a joy no business victory had ever given him. For the first time, he felt like his wealth finally meant something. Yet subtle cracks began to show. Victoria grew distant, irritated by spilled juice on antique rugs and by Lily's quiet habit of following Alexander everywhere. One night, unable to sleep, Alexander walked toward his study and overheard hushed voices coming from Victoria's private lounge. He paused. Victoria was speaking sharply on the phone. "I told you the plan was simple," she whispered. "Once he changes the inheritance papers, the children's trust fund can be redirected. He'll never suspect a thing." Alexander's heart pounded. He felt the ground slip beneath him. The adoption, the public image, the sudden push from Victoria to restructure his estate, it wasn't compassion. It was calculation. The next day, pretending ignorance, he called his attorney and quietly froze all financial transfers. What he uncovered in the following week was worse than any corporate scandal. Victoria had been siphoning millions into secret accounts for years. The adoption wasn't about love, it was her attempt to manipulate inheritance laws, ensuring that in the event of Alexander's death, she would control everything through the children's guardianship. She had even hired private investigators to dig into Lily's past, hoping to find a way to discredit her if necessary. Betrayal wasn't just financial. It was cruel. That evening, Alexander confronted her. "Did you ever care about them?" he asked, his voice steady but broken. Victoria didn't deny it. "They were an opportunity," she replied coldly. "You're too sentimental, Alexander. I simply protect what's ours." "No," he said quietly. "You protect what's yours." Within a month, divorce papers were filed, accounts were exposed, and the world that once admired Victoria turned away in disbelief. Alexander ensured Lily and the twins were legally protected beyond question, their future secured in trusts that no one could touch. But more importantly, he gave them something money could never buy: safety. One evening, as Lily tucked the twins into their new beds, she looked up at him with tears in her eyes. "You didn't have to save us," she whispered. Alexander knelt beside her. "You saved me," he replied. Because in choosing to protect them, he rediscovered the part of himself that success had almost erased: his humanity. The mansion no longer felt like a monument to wealth. It felt like a home. And sometimes, the greatest betrayal reveals the deepest truth: family isn't about blood or contracts. It's about who stands beside you when the storm refuses to stop. If this story touched your heart, if you believe kindness can still change the world even when betrayal tries to destroy it, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Because here, we tell stories that remind us why compassion will always be stronger than greed, and your support helps these powerful stories reach millions more who need to believe again.